Are you ever slightly jealous or envious of those women who seem so confident, so put together, always decisive, never doubting themselves, and look like that boss woman you thought you'd never be? Well, I've got news for you. Confidence is not just for some people. Anyone and everyone can become confident. It's a mindset. It's a switch that can be turned off and turned on. And I have cracked the code for turning on the confidence button. So why do we lack self-confidence? It's no wonder. I personally grew up in a society where it was more expected for women to be academic, to have a university degree, or to have a successful career. There was no awareness of any kind of learning disability such as ADHD. There was bullying and sexual harassment going on in schools and workplaces, but nobody ever talked about it or dealt with it. To an adolescent girl, popularity is key, and most girls spend more time comparing themselves to others, battling feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem. And then there's the added pressure of measuring up to your family, peer pressure, religious and traditional expectations, and of course the expectation of finding Mr. Right. There's so much pressure placed on young people. And at the same time, people struggle with financial issues, body image issues, eating disorders, emotional problems, grief, and the list goes on. It's no wonder many of us lack confidence, self-worth, and self-esteem. So what's to be done about it? My journey to gaining self-confidence was a long one. I was always the larger girl in the class, shy and awkward, forever comparing myself to the other girls. My narrative in my head was that I'm not clever enough, not talkative enough, and not pretty enough. I started learning guitar and began performing at school, local youth group, and later on other platforms. However, that all came to an end when I developed stage fright and debilitating panic attacks. I also worked for some horrible narcissistic bosses who constantly put me down. I began binge eating and gaining a lot of weight, further affecting my lack of confidence. I just thought that that is the way I'm meant to be. I experienced failure after failure, including a failed business, which left me penniless. Somehow I picked myself up, brushed myself off, and started all over again. We have to rise above the failures because what is the alternative? Remember, every failed experience is a step towards success, and without the failures, there's no growth. If you did everything right, you'd never do anything wrong. Success is putting in the hard work and not giving up. Keep going until. There is no successful person on the planet who did not put in a lot of hard work. No famous actor, no famous successful business person, no politician, no musician, and no fashion model. And in the words of Denzel Washington, who addressed the graduate students at the University of Pennsylvania, if you hang around the barber shop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. Here are my tips for true and lasting confidence, and this can be learned by absolutely anyone. Tip number 1. Stop giving other people's remarks any significance. People don't always have your best interest at heart. Perhaps due to their own inadequacies, they bring you down in order to raise themselves up. Or they may not be aligned to what your personal needs and wants are. So let the negative remarks roll over you like water off a duck's back. because remarks will only hold you back from getting where you want to be. You don't require anyone's approval to be yourself. Tip number 2, stop blaming others and your surroundings for your own failures. Chances are there are two sides. It doesn't matter how thin you make a pancake, there's always two sides. Whatever's happening around you doesn't need to affect you. You decide what you give significance to and what not. Tip number 3, push yourself out of your comfort zone in order to grow. Embrace the fear. Fear will always be there when you're doing something that's slightly out of your comfort zone. The fear is totally natural. Think of the fear as a driving force, and may the force be with you. Don't be afraid of embarrassment. Chances are nobody's even taking any notice. I personally had the biggest fear of speaking in public. It didn't matter if it was a small crowd or a large crowd, even one-to-one sometimes. I had debilitating fear that would take over my body. I would shake, my mouth would quiver. I was in a terrible state. In fact, I left one of my jobs because of it, because I was asked to give a talk and I could not handle it. And so it's the fight or flight situation, and I flew. So I decided I've got to do something about it because it was affecting my life. So I signed up for a course in public speaking, and I was completely thrown in the deep end. I was mortified. I was shaking. It was really the hardest thing that I ever had to do. I remember there was this woman who literally was dying inside from fear. She got up to talk, and I was saying to myself, gosh, this woman seems really confident. I mean, her speech is so interesting and enlightening, and I don't even know what she's doing in this course. And afterwards she whispered to me, oh, did you see me shake? And I said, no. Did you see my mouth quivering? I said, no. She said, did you see me sweating? I said, absolutely not. You seemed fine. So this goes to prove that what you feel inside, other people may not be noticing. And so I went from there to performing on stage with my singing, and I gained even more confidence from that. I just changed my mindset. I said to myself, I've got this. Other people are not going to notice the self-criticism that I have for myself. We are our biggest critics, and chances are, even if you make a mistake, nobody's going to notice. In fact, most people are thinking more about themselves. They're thinking about how they look, how they appear, how they sound, and they don't care about you. Tip number 4, don't take the past and bring it into the future. Rather, use your experiences to push you forward. The past is gone. The future is not guaranteed. All we have is the present. So stop procrastinating and use the time we have now to get to where you want to go. Tip number 5, don't sweat the small stuff. We tend to worry about these mundane things, like being late for an appointment, being stuck in a traffic jam. These things, they're just temporary. They're going to pass. Worry a little less. According to statistics, I think it's 87% of things that we worry about never happen. That's a very high percentage. Just think of this. In another 100 years or less, none of us are going to be here. We'll have spent our whole lives worrying about these little things, whereas in another 100 years or less, it'll be completely meaningless. We will not be here. Famous people will not be here. Politicians will not be here. Presidents, Prime Minister, all gone. We will all be replaced by new people who will start all over again. I always think of it like this. On a larger scale, we're all like little ants, working, busy, doing stuff, carrying stuff. If you zoom out for a moment, that's all you'll see are these little ants. However, I'm not saying that life is meaningless and you shouldn't do whatever makes you happy and you shouldn't do meaningful things, because if you zoom back in, you will see that each little ant has a purpose. One may be carrying branches, the other may be procreating, the other one may be going to hunt for food. Everyone has a purpose in life, and everyone has a skill, and everyone has a talent. So you should take those skills and talents and do something meaningful with them, not just for other people, but for yourself. In fact, mostly for yourself, and then if other people gain from that, then that's a bonus. Tip number 6, be kind to yourself. We go around worrying about everyone else, worrying about our kids, our grandkids, our families, our mothers, our parents, our husbands, our wives. We're worrying and doing for them all the time, but we never stop to think, what about us? If we don't look after ourselves, we won't be there to look after others. So be kind to yourself, love yourself more, pamper yourself, buy yourself flowers, take yourself on a solo date, learn to enjoy your own company. When you enjoy your own company, others will enjoy your company too. Tip number 7, resilience. Exercise your body and your mind and connect with nature. This will help you get through the tough times. Without resilience, we're weak. Tip number 8, think before reacting. Don't lash out. Silence can be worth more than 1,000 words. Sometimes it's best to walk away from an argument instead of trying to justify yourself. A true confident person doesn't need to justify themselves to anyone. Arguing a point does not win you any respect, whereas walking away from the situation shows resilience, self-confidence, self-worth, and will win you respect. Tip number 9, stop being a people pleaser. Be firm and stand your ground. This is something we never had the ability of doing when we were younger. But now we can. Do what's good for you. Give yourself permission to release any guilt that you might be feeling when you say no to someone. Guilt is only hurting you. It's what you're feeling inside, not necessarily what is really happening. Always be true to yourselves. You don't have to put on any airs and graces to impress others, and you don't have to bend to please others. If people cannot accept you for what you are, they are not worth your time. Instead, be proud of what you are and own it. Tip number 10, take baby steps. When you're striving for something in your life, whether it be losing weight, becoming fitter, a career change, don't be overwhelmed by the big picture. I remember when I was 60 kilos overweight, I would think, oh my goodness, 60 kilos, I'm never going to lose that. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and a mountain is climbed one step at a time. So I lost a kilo here and a kilo there, and then after several months I'd lost 7 kilos, and after a year I'd lost 16 kilos, whatever the case may be. So everything has to be done slowly and surely. And celebrate the small victories. If you've lost 1 kilo in 2 weeks, don't say, oh, only 1 kilo in 2 weeks? No, say it's 1 kilo less than you had before and celebrate that victory. That's just an example, but it can apply to anything. Give yourself a pat on the back and make tiny tweaks to improve and grow. Tip 11, learn constantly. If you have a goal, research it, learn the skill. Everyone is good at something, and whatever your talent, you choose how you're going to use it. Me, for instance, I just made the decision very recently to go on YouTube. And I had no idea how to go about that. I didn't know how to film. I didn't know how to speak in front of a camera. I didn't know how to edit movies, nothing. So I started researching the subject. And I studied and I studied and I worked hard, and I'm still working and I'm still learning. There is no end to how much we can learn and improve. If I'm not mistaken, according to statistics, we're only using 3% of the capacity of our brains. So there's so much more to learn. So research your subject. Believe that you can do it and put it into action. Make a structure and stick to it. Consistency is key. When I have a lot to do, I write everything down on a list and I go one by one. And I tick them off. Of course, everyone knows that, but it's something that we forget to do. Tip number 12, fake it till you make it. And what do I mean by that? Here I am faking some kind of a YouTube star with like millions of subscribers. But that's not the case. But I can pretend that it's happening. I can envision it happening. I can dream about it. I can act as if it's true. And eventually it may very well come true. And I hope it does. Another example would be when you just can't fall asleep at night. I'm sure it's happened to everyone. And you're just trying and trying. You're like lying there with your eyes closed. And you're thinking, oh, I'm never going to get to sleep. And you're thinking all sorts of things going through your mind. And eventually what happens? You actually do fall asleep. So basically you're faking it till you make it. And my last tip, number 13, we are what we say to ourselves. In general, we believe that our situations define our reality, when in fact, our reality is what we say to ourselves in our head. It's our own narrative. If we say we can't do something, then we won't. But if you reverse the narrative and believe you can achieve that something and are willing to put in the work, chances are you will get there, thus changing your reality. In closing, confidence is like a muscle. You need to exercise that muscle in order to achieve and maintain it. And once you do, you will have switched on that button like a light bulb. And once the button is switched on, only you can turn it off. You have the control. And also confidence is contagious. It can inspire others and bring you respect and success. And lastly, and most importantly, be grateful for what you have. Look at your half full glass and not your half empty glass. Become the best version of yourself. And remember, it's never too late. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you've picked up some tips. I hope that this will inspire you to become a better you, a more confident you, and go out there and be that boss lady and dress for the occasion. And I will be back very soon to talk about dressing for confidence. Ta-ta for now. See you next time. Bye.